Hello and welcome to round 4 of the Two Counties Kart Club Championship on the 6th of October, coming to you once again from Forestedge Kart Club. The Formula Blues making their 4th and final visit of the season to Forestedge. The first 3 all produced some cracking racing. Let's see what the 4th one produces. You can see the drivers just waiting the start of the race on the dummy grid. The race before them just coming into park for me in the background, as you can see. Everybody just firing the karts up and then sitting on tick over for a little bit. Here you can see at the front of the grid that's Stuart Gray and Sarita Schoen and Michael Bell, Paul Alexander and co. You can see the results of the first 3 heats. Heat 1 was won by Russell O'Neill in mixed conditions with a brilliant performance from Sarita Schoen and Michael Bell. Stuart Gray run Heat 2 from O'Neill and Schoen, and Stuart Gray also took the victory in Heat 3 ahead of Robin Starkstones and David Waldron. And that produces a grid that looks like this. It's number 16 Stuart Gray on pole from Russell O'Neill, with Sarita Schoen and Robin Starkstones on row 2 ahead of Michael Bell, David Good, Paul Alexander, David Waldron, Alex Fortune and Kevin O'Neill rounding out the top 10 ahead of Toby Cook in the number 41, Rod Mortimer in 12th, Ron Schoen and Mike Watts rounding out the grid. And here you can see what the championship looks like going into this race. We have Bell leading from Russell O'Neill and David Waldron, with Robin Starkstones and David Good and Toby Cook all in tight behind. Sarita Schoen and Rob Mortimer as well, all separated only by a point each in the midfield. You can see the Blue Masters Championship. Russell O'Neill currently leading that ahead of David Waldron, with Robin Starkstones, David Good, Rob Mortimer in 5th. And in the veterans, it's David Waldron leading from Starkstones, Good, Mortimer, Ron Schoen in 5th in that championship. And then in the Bluelands, Robin Starkstones having a commanding season in that, ahead of David Good, with Ron Schoen 3rd, Kevin O'Neill 4th, Mike Watts in 5th, ahead of Stuart Gray. And in the top weights, it's Mortimer from Schoen and Duncan McLeod currently holding on to 3rd position. As the drivers coming down now towards Winger's Dip on their 2nd rolling lap. Already formed up into the 2x2 formation. It's quite a slow rolling lap, as is normal when Stuart Gray's on pole. Likes to really back the field up. As you can see on board with Paul Alexander, there's Bell ahead of us, and David Good in the number 12. Going through the cut through now, and under starters orders. And away we go, and a good start from Gray, a good start from Schoen as well, a poor start from Bell. Stuart Gray leads into the first turn, and that's Alex Fortune scampering up the inside of Paul Alexander further back in the pack. So it's Gray, O'Neill, Schoen, Stones, Good, and then David Waldron. As you can see, Rob Mortimer with his new white paint. That's Toby Cook looking to the inside of Paul Alexander, but to no avail, down into Winger's Dip. And now up through Anson's, we're on board with Alexander. As Alex Fortune ahead of us looking at the back of Michael Bell, and then Michael Bell looking at David Waldron. Going up now through midgets. Fortune's looking to the inside. Oh, and there's contact. Around they go. Fortune goes over the back of Bell. Both drivers spin. Now on board with Bell. Alex Fortune scampering away. And Bell not refiring. So Mike Bell is stranded as we go back to the lead. Stuart Gray first across the line, ahead of Russell O'Neill, with Sarita Schoen and Robin Starkstones right on the bumper of each other. David Good and David Waldron having a strong start in 5th and 6th, and then Alexander trying to hold off Toby Cook in behind. David Waldron looking to the inside, and here comes Toby Cook up the inside of Paul Alexander through Winger's Dip. Cook up to 7th, he started 11th, he's up 4 places already. See how the number 41 can see if he can catch up to the group ahead. As the yellow flags are out up at midgets, it's going to be for the stranded Bell. Now down straight towards Climate, and Toby Cook really scampering away from Paul Alexander as it is. Stuart Gray crosses the line again, new purple lap for Stuart Gray, pulling out nearly 7/10 of a second on Russell O'Neill. And O'Neill still with Sarita Schoen and Robin Starkstones close enough you could throw a blanket over them. There's Rob Mortimer closing in on Kevin O'Neill as well further back in the pack. But down at Winger's Dip, Kevin O'Neill having a thought about looking at Paul Alexander there. There's Ron Schoen and then Mike Watts. And on board with Watts, the novice, going up through Anson's. And on the run up towards the bus stop. Here we go. You can see Ron Schoen ahead of us getting a little bit smaller. Watts looking to capitalise on being the only novice here to be the top novice on the track. Stuart Gray crosses the line once again ahead of O'Neill. Schoen, Stones, as close as that. Stuart Gray now 2 seconds clear of O'Neill. And then behind O'Neill's group, David Waldron attacking David Good still. So the two Davids battling over 5th place. Toby Cook closing that gap though, you can see it visually getting smaller. And Rob Mortimer now all over the back of Kevin O'Neill. They're battling for 9th. Then there's Ron Schoen, Mike Watts, and Alex Fortune's kept going. So we'll see if he can bring himself back into the fight later on in the race. We're back on board with Alexander as we come up through midgets. You can see Toby Cook ahead of us, and then ahead of him is David Waldron all over the back of David Good. You can see just up the road the two drivers in the white helmet blue suit combo. Across the line once again, new fastest lap from Stuart Gray, and then O'Neill, Schoen and Stuart Stones all within 7/10 of a second as well. There goes Gray, there goes David Good and David Waldron, and that's a problem. That's Rob Mortimer. He's limping. You can definitely tell something's up with that car. He's looking down towards the engine. Potentially a engine or a carburetor type problem. He's going to pull that kart to a stop as Mike Watts goes by. And there he is, looking at what it is. Now he's trying to refire. Hopefully the number 13 can get back in the race. So here we are looking at Tollies. And around comes Stuart Gray to cross the line once again. Up 5 in the books. Stuart Gray still leading from O'Neill, Schoen, Stuart Stones, and David Waldron now up the inside of David Good. Got a better exit from the final turn and snipped by through Parsons. And now that's going to put David Good under a lot of pressure from the number 41 Toby Cook, as there's actually looked like a bit of contact there through Johnny's. As down towards Winger's Dip, Cook looks to the inside, doesn't quite make it. Good holding him off for the time being, and David Waldron trying to run up the way up the road. Back on board with Paul Alexander, who is the driver behind the Cook, and a good fight. See them ahead as Toby Cook looking to the inside through midgets. David Good hanging on. David Good putting up a spirited defence here against Toby Cook. And Paul Alexander's in the money seats to watch him. He's now down into Tollies. Toby Cook down the inside. David Good didn't stand a chance of defending that. Cook now up into 6th. Good down to 7th. Paul Alexander and Kevin O'Neill coming up on him fast. David Waldron sprinting away up the road though. And there's Kevin O'Neill going through Haynes Loop. There's Ron Schoen. Back down to the Winger's Dip. You see these 4 or 5 drivers a little bit spread out, but position's just been changing, so you never know what's going to happen. Now Alexander through the bus stop, trying to close in on David Good. Now up through midgets. Good looking at the back of Toby Cook still. Now we jump on board with Mike Bell's kart. It's switched from one side of the circuit to the other, so he's clearly trying to get that back to the pits. New fast lap once again from Stuart Gray. And a new personal best from the 3 drivers chasing him. There's Gray. There's O'Neill, Schoen, and Stoddart Stones. There you can see a visual. You can see visually the gap between first and second. David Waldron now being closed in on by Toby Cook. David Good and Paul Alexander as well closing in on each other. As that was a yellow flag waving at the bus stop. Not sure what that was for, but there we go, back on board with Bell. There goes Gray. There goes O'Neill, there goes Schoen and Stoddart Stones. There's Waldron, Cook, and now across the line. 1 minute left on the clock. Stuart Gray with another fastest lap of the race. Looks like he's got this in the palm of his hand at the moment. O'Neill, Schoen and Stoddart Stones still all up in the air though. Less than half a second between the 3 of them. Through the shot they go. Now back at Winger's Dip. Looking at O'Neill, Teresa Schoen and Robin Stoddart Stones. And the next 5 drivers all kind of equidistantly spread. Kevin O'Neill there on the back of that pack. And then a bit of a gap behind Kevin O'Neill, but back on board with Alexander through the bus stop once again. Taking a lot of the exit rumble curve. Now up into midgets. On the way out of midgets. In the back of David Good. That's Bell. He's got his kart back to the pits. That might be one of the slowest formulablueuk laps around Forestedge ever. 6:35. But here comes Stuart Gray. He's on his penultimate lap. So to our O'Neill, Schoen and Stoddart Stones. Still bumper to bumper. The last lap only 500ths apart between the 3 of them. And it looks like Stoddart Stones could be lining up to try and make a pass here. Certainly not one who will shy away from going for a gap is Stoddart Stones. But on board with Alexander once again, looking at the back of David Good as they come up through the bus stop. Through the right, through the left, and then round the right on the exit. And Alexander seems to be closing in every braking zone, just a fraction, but David Good pulls it back on the corner exits. Now Stuart Gray comes around to start the last lap. So one more lap to go for any of these drivers. Now down at Winger's Dip, you see Stuart Gray with a commanding lead ahead of Russell O'Neill, with Cerise Schoen and Robin Stone still bumper to bumper with him. Then Good, Cook, Waldron, Cook, and then Good, and then Alexander. As looking back to the battle for 10th, that's Ron Schoen. He's been being caught by Mike Watts for the last few laps, and Alex Fortune has reeled them both in. So can Fortune do anything with this one lap he has left of the race? Through Anson's and up the hill, and that's into the final turn. That's out of the final turn. Stuart Gray crosses the line to take victory here from pole position ahead of Russell O'Neill, Sarita Schoen and Robin Stones. David Waldron with a strong fifth ahead of Cook, Good, Alexander. Kevin O'Neill around the final corner to finish 9th. And now we jump back on board with Mike Watts going through Climate and down to Tolly's, looking at the back of Ron Schoen. You can definitely see that the gap is coming down, but not fast enough. Schoen finishes in 10th ahead of Watts, and Alex Fortune rounding out the finishers on the road in 12th. Now on board with Alexander as we go into Parc Fermé. Drivers are going to get their front fairings checked. And in fact, Toby Cook and Kevin O'Neill both had front fairing infringements, so 5-second penalties for both of them. And that's going to change the results, as you can see here. Stuart Gray took the win from Russell O'Neill and Cerise Schoen. It starts Stones 4th, Waldron 5th, David Good up to 6th ahead of Alexander, Toby Cook drops to 8th, Kevin O'Neill stays 9th ahead of Ron Schoen, Mike Watts, Alex Fortune, Rob Mortimer and Mike Bell. And what this does to the championship is very interesting. It now ties it up at the top of the championship between Russell O'Neill and Mike Bell. O'Neill ahead with a better drop. Robin Stones 3rd ahead of David Waldron with only 1 point in it. Same with Cerise Schoen and David Good for 5th and 6th. Toby Cook stays 7th. In the Masters, O'Neill stays top ahead of Robin Stones, David Waldron and David Good in behind. Ron Schoen and Rob Mortimer tied up in 5th with Kevin O'Neill in 1 point back. In the Veterans is David Waldron leading from Robin Stones by just a single point. In the Blue Legends, Robin Stones leading from David Good and Ron Schoen. And in the top weight, Rob Mortimer stays in the lead despite his DNF ahead of Ron Schoen and Mike Watts in 3rd. So now the driver's going to get back into the pits. And we'll see you next time from Mansell Raceway.